Okay, welcome to tonight's y'all meeting on February 4th. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll have a quick moment of silence. Okay, thank you very much. Roll call.
Mrs. Hoover? Here. Dr. Crew?
Here.
Mrs. Crew?
Here.
Mr. Krimenacher? Here. Mrs. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Mr. Basil?
Here.
Mr. Westrick?
Here.
Ms. Simchak?
Here.
Okay, our first guest is Mr. Rusty Wills.
Good evening, Officer Rusty Wills. I'm the SRO of the school district. So what I need to talk about tonight is the contract with the borough. I'm not able to negotiate any contract with the borough. I'm just the officer. So the mayor and the council will have to do that. I'll be involved with all that, but the mayor and the council also will have to be involved in all that. I want to get off the top. It's a rumor that Giddings is not going to be recontracted next year. Is that true?
We haven't even talked about that yet.
Okay, I just heard it's a rumor. I think if you would decide not to, I think it's very unsafe for the school. 1,000 kids or whatever, we're over 800 kids in our school. I get we're at one campus, but one officer alone being in both sides of the building at the same time, if an incident would occur in both sides of the building at the same time, one can be in one side, one can be in the other. So I'm not trying to push, but I really do think having Giddings or hiring another SRO officer would be in the best interest of the school district. Me alone, if I would come back, if Yunus would bring me back, me alone's not enough to handle a whole district with 1,000 kids. That's all I have.
Are you here at 7:30 in the morning, Rusty?
I'm here at 7 o'clock. I'm supposed to be here at 7:30, but I come at 7 o'clock. I'm at the high school from 7 o'clock in the morning until 8:30. Then 8:30 to 10 here at this school, then back there for their lunches, then back down here the rest of the day. And Ryan and I, we alternate. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody sign up to speak? Should be recording. Okay. Remember, state your name and your address, and you will have 5 minutes, okay? Mr. Jonathan Smarsh. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Smarsh, 158 Account Lane, Hastings, PA. I'm out here on behalf of the NCEB basketball program with some of my fellow board members. I was told it was on the agenda tonight. Kind of just want to let you guys know we're here when we get to the subject. If you have any questions, we're more than willing to answer them, and vice versa if that's how it's going to go. Hoping we're still here when it gets to, I see it's all the way on like page 8. We do have families we have to get to, and I actually have basketball practice tonight, so just want to let you know we're here.
Okay, thanks. What time do you practice?
7.
7? Okay. Okay, Christine Phillips.
Sure. Hopefully you can hear me.
If you have to pull it up, just go ahead and pull it.
I got it. Actually,
Yeah.
here. I'm Christine Phillips. I live at 650 Carpinello Road, Hastings, PA. I'm here tonight as a deeply concerned parent of children in this school and a member of this community to oppose the termination of our beloved superintendent, Dr. Laura Fasonic. I am here to demand an explanation as to why this is being put to a vote. These people the school board president and his wife, and the others who intend to vote in favor of terminating Dr. Fasonic are not for us. They are not for our school, our children, our students, our staff, or our community, as evidenced by their repeated disregard and disrespect in addressing issues such as replacing our middle school principal, which was ignored at the last meeting, appointing a person of their choice to the recently vacated school board seat instead of having a transparent process of vetting interested candidates, and now terminating our dedicated superintendent with an impressive track record of improving our school. I am here to ask you to tell our community what is the reason for this termination. We are here for answers. We are here to voice our support for this exceptional superintendent, someone who has done so much for our school and is an example of class and professionalism in this climate of unethical behavior, blatant disregard for our school, students, and staff, and quite frankly, an embarrassment to our community. These people, these 6 members, the 5 remaining and 1 appointed by the president, who continue to vote in unison, are taking everything away from this community. Our middle school principal, our ability to fairly select and vet school board members, and now our superintendent. They are taking away our voices. Don't let them. Enough. We have had enough. You are elected officials whose duty it is to represent the voices of this community. We are here tonight telling you that we want, and we expect, and we will keep speaking out, and we expect answers, and we will keep speaking out until you uphold your pledge to, quote, lead responsibly, act ethically, plan thoughtfully, evaluate continuously, communicate clearly, advocate earnestly, and govern efficiently. These are words taken directly from the Pennsylvania School Board Association's Principle for Governance and Leadership. This is a pledge that all school board members pledge to adhere to upon being elected to this board. These members, voting in unison to appoint unknown people for vacant seats, these members voting tonight to terminate a highly competent, caring leader in our school, these members who continue to disregard the statements of principals and staff have not been advocates for this community. These members have not acted responsibly or ethically, and these members do not have children in this school. These members do not represent us. We are here tonight to speak up and hold them accountable. Thank you.
Okay, Diane, you're up.
I'm so sorry I come after that. That was, I don't know you, but that was excellent. I'm sorry I
Your
get
time
to
has
speak
started,
after
Diane.
you. I got that. She said just about everything I could possibly say and more. I've been coming to school board meetings for 2 years about, missing very few. I probably have better attendance than maybe some of you. But, and I've watched our superintendent in action. I've gone to workshops that happened after hours at 7 o'clock on issues like cell phones and, discipline in the schools and, just all kinds of things. I went to the, PJ Shell presentation in addition to coming to the board meetings. And I've seen her in action at concerts and everywhere else. And I just want to say, I think it is a crime against quality and some of the best work I've seen in 50 years here. So that's all. I've also observed you folks, and I'm a very good observer. And I have excellent, I was told at one point, I have excellent interpersonal evaluation skills. And for those who, I can read people for the layman's terms. I can read people very well. I sat over there and watched this board nitpick, Fred Montanaro to see if he could get down 5 band uniforms to save money, to not have the stripe on the leg of the pants to save money. And so the next year when you need to buy more, they're cheaper. And I've sat here and listened to things like that go on. I also sat here and watched a grandmother tried to tell this board how great this school district is. And she was called out of order. She was told she had to hurry up. She left here so upset. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but she did. So basically, I'm saying to you, we're watching. And as fiscal delegates of the taxpayer, we are really watching. How much is this costing us? This whole charade with the severance package, the acting superintendent, and the new superintendent. I hope that person's coming in at rock bottom, because we can't afford all of those items in addition to the other. And tonight I have eye contact. I think this is the first time since I spoke. Good night.
Karen Messina.
Hi, my name is Karen Messina and I live at 53 Mountain Drive. I'm sure this is a total waste of my time, but I'd like to hear your responses as to why you're letting Dr. Fasonic go. She has been the best superintendent we have had for our kids in a very long time. She is committed to our children and, more importantly, their education. She is invested in our school and the community. I cannot even count how many superintendents my kids have had during their last 10 to 12 years. Way more than what they should have. Dr. Fasonic has done so much with education since she has been here. She wants to see our kids succeed. She shows up. She goes to sporting events. She goes to concerts and educational activities. When was the last time you were at anything like that, Mrs. Leib, Dr. Krug, Norma? And you, Mr. Westrick, who probably knows very little about our kids and probably can't name 3 teachers from either school. But anyway, you have complained about buying equipment to help kids learn life lessons. Now you're going to spend how much money on replacing Dr. Fasonic? Buying out her contract, paying another superintendent to fill in for a few months at a large sum of money. You were so worried about raising taxes. What about all this money you're wasting tonight? It seems like buying an oven or a microwave was a bigger discussion than spending thousands of dollars. And remember the oath you all took. It seems like some of you may have forgot the real reason why you're on the board.
Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lieb, 263 Ridge Road, Nicktown, PA. I just wanted to say that there are consequences when some people go against what the taxpayers brought in here. They brought 5 new school board members in last time. Got rid of 2 of the other ones that were here. The one signed the contract because the president wouldn't sign it for the new school because it was a bad contract. We weren't ready for it yet, and you're supposed to be intelligent people on here, and what you did was you saw that the taxpayers and the voters did not want this school. And then when, yes, they certainly did. That's why these 5 are in here.
Yes, we did want.
Stop. It's his turn to speak.
Let him admit that it's retribution.
It's his turn to speak. This is not a...
Thanks.
So you're supposed to be intelligent people here, but you aren't very smart and you don't use much common sense. When you voted it in, and the new school board was elected, it was ram it through. Ram it through. If it was said that if you break ground before November, they can't stop us. Yes. And
Stop. This is
So-
comment section only.
so there are repercussions on people saying things and voting the way they did on this school board. That's why there's 5 new school board members on here.
Thank you, Kevin. We're done. Administrative report.
Hey, Kevin, I just want to say one thing before,
No, this.
I want Jerry to state on record where he's living right now
Improve it.
and prove, what's your address that you're living at? What's your address?
366 Criminal Lane, Carrolltown, PA.
So you live with the newlyweds who are currently in that home?
I believe you're lying,
My
and I
personal
believe you have no integrity.
You don't live there. You stay with your mom.
I think he's voting on a false pretense. I don't think he's
I want to see a light bill, an electric bill, prove your residency. I can prove my residency right now. I know the people who live in your,
no integrity.
it's a small town. This is fraud. And now it's on record.
No integrity. Okay.
All right, principal's report, Ms. Elementary.
Hi, everyone.
Get in big
I'm
trouble.
Dr.
Enough,
Joy
Danielle.
Tibbet, the elementary principal. There are, sorry, trying to pull myself back together. There are flashlights here from the 4th grade. They are doing their FOSS energy kits, and they wanted to show everybody some of the flashlights that they have created. You're welcome to turn them on and check them out. They did a wonderful job with them, very creative. Our January students of the month, kindergarten, Xavier Boring and Lucy McCombie. We had a tie and we didn't want to choose. They're both wonderful students. 1st grade, Dallas Platco. 2nd grade, Harper Radcliffe. 3rd grade, Cooper Murray. 4th grade, Zeke Humpert Diaz. 5th grade, Clara France. 6th grade, Michael Novella. 7th grade, Ava Shabaka. And 8th grade, Lillian Dum. Congratulations to those students. I wanted to let the public know that kindergarten registration has been slated for March 20th and March 21st for any student 5 years old prior to September 1st. Pre-K registration is March 27th for any student 4 years old prior to September 1st. I also wanted to say kudos to our students and parents. We just ended the second 9 weeks, and once again, we have great attendance. So even with all the illness going around, our attendance was a little bit lower than first 9 weeks, was 95% attendance rate. This 9 weeks, we had a 92 attendance rate. So for this time of the year, we are very proud of them, and we did celebrate with those children. We had almost 25 kids that actually had perfect attendance this 9 weeks. In 6th grade, Band Fest, 5th and 6th grade students have earned spots at this year's PMEA District 6 Band Fest. It will be held at Conemaugh Township High School on April 4th. The students are Braden Camberer, Carter Simmers, Riley Ludwig, Mackenzie Hanyoff, and Carter Dixon. Congratulations for those students being chosen. In elementary STEAM, Mrs. Smith is working with 1st and 2nd grade STEAM classes. They got to spend some time lately coding, using Botley robots that were on loan from the IU8 Lending Center. They coded the robots to follow a line and also wrote code to get them through obstacle courses. Loved it. Kids loved it. Elementary and middle school has completed our middle of year benchmarks. We're doing a lot of evaluating of data, moving kids around in ELA and math, and using the program that we purchased this year, the Link It program. It's a wonderful program, so thank you to the board for purchasing that for us. It's really helping us track our students' needs and their strengths. I wanted to say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Delvin Lockard. They visited last Friday along with the groundhog. They purchased the ingredients. They paid for groundhog cookies, and the cafeteria made the cookies, so thank you also very much. And just 2 other quick things. Thank you to kindergarten for preparing this month's PBIS activities full of melting snowmen, ice cream, and indoor snowball fights. And lastly, the elementary middle school celebrated Kindness Week last week with discussions, long discussions about making NC kindness strong. Thank you. And I did not text Mrs. Prebish, so if you wanted to go the next one, I'll text her. That's my fault. She's coming over from her class in the other office.
All right, business manager.
I have nothing.
Oh. Mrs. Prebish will be yelling at me. Sorry, that's my fault.
All right, cafeteria.
Okay. So our high school is going to be having a popcorn chicken bowl on Monday, February 10th. We're going to sauce our popcorn chicken in different sauces, Nashville hot honey, and garlic parmesan for the high school students. Tasty Bites is one of our older featured events that we used to have, and now it's coming back. So on February 13th, we will be doing chocolate and strawberry pudding parfaits for the elementary kids. And then third, middle school breakfast for lunch bar will be served on February 18th, where they can have a Dutch waffle or French toast sticks as part of their meal that day. That's all I have.
Thanks.
She's on her way.
Maintenance.
I have a few things I can talk about. Here in the elementary school, cafeteria's got some things we're working on. Waiting on some parts. We need a pressure reducer valve for the walk-in cooler. It's leaking. I got some other parts on order as well, so we'll address those as they come in. I do believe there's a quote in the agenda to talk about the rest of the parts that we need, so we can look at that at a later time. I have a walkthrough tomorrow at the high school for another big quote for the allied movers for moving from one school out. I also have a walkthrough tomorrow with the high school up to furnace, with another subject matter expert to take a look at those grades again, do another opinion of where we are with that. Other than that, I got my staff working on cleaning out mechanical rooms, and storage rooms, etc., to get prepped for the next phase of the construction. We did some work last night, tonight, and will be ongoing for the library as well. As you can see in the back, we're using the space here for the library. We'll be putting that back together in the next couple of days. So that's about it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
In order to help Mr. Smarsh, we're going to go into the action agenda, and we're going to talk about the, oh, is she here?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead and make her quick then. I'm sorry, I didn't see.
I apologize, I was in class and I'm going
Go
back
ahead,
and forth.
you can go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. So our high school students of the month for January are senior Taylor Pala, junior Reese Baker, sophomore Ashley Lockard, and freshman Chloe Davis. The National Honor Society hosted the Winter Blood Drive on Tuesday, January 28th. 25 people showed up to donate, and they were able to receive blood from 20 of them. The Northern Cambria boys basketball team has won the Tri-County Basketball Officials Award. This basketball officials chapter represents officials in Indiana, Cambria, and Armstrong County. Every official gets a vote. The coaching staff and Mr. Pajak will be honored at a dinner next Saturday, February 8th at Santos in Homer Center. We are incredibly proud of this honor of great sportsmanship. So this is a big honor for our teams, not only athletic, but there are a very good sportsmanship award. Congratulations to Zoe Mandrick, who represented us at the district band. Through competitive audition and placement, she is moving on to regional band in March. Congratulations to senior artists, Lydia Kirsch. She is also a Heritage Conference artist, Hannah Krug and Tegan Powa. Their artwork will be on display this evening of February 7th at the KCAC. Congratulations to our TSA National Champion Solar Sprint team for being selected to be recognized at the KCAC game for their academic accomplishment. This past Saturday, the TSA Regional Conference was held at Cambria Heights. We have 31 students in middle school and high school who placed first, second, or third and are moving on to the state competition. These students have worked hard to balance their schoolwork, sports, jobs, and other activities while still maintaining their high level of dedication. Our school outperformed almost all area schools, and we could not be more proud of our students. And today, this was just in, Reese Baker won first place in this year's VFW Voice of Democracy essay contest. Not only did Reese have to write an essay about whether America today is what our forefathers envisioned, but she also had to record herself reading the essay. She beat out high school students from many districts in our region for the award. Congratulations, Reese. And on a final note, I stand before you tonight with a heavy heart as we face a significant transition. Over the past 2.5 years, it
it has been my honor to work with Dr. Laura Fasonic. Together, we've accomplished incredible things and created a nurturing environment where our students can thrive. We've implemented innovative programs, celebrated student achievements, and built strong relationships with families. Our educators have dedicated themselves wholeheartedly, inspiring our students every day and fostering a love of learning. While change brings uncertainty, I firmly believe that our commitment to collaboration, empathy, and student success will guide us forward. I am deeply grateful to every teacher and student member for your unwavering dedication. You are the heart of our school. To our students, keep pursuing your dreams with determination. Your potential is limitless. As we look to the future, let us continue to remember that we are united in our mission to support every child. Thank you for allowing me to serve this wonderful community. Together, let's ensure our school remains a place of growth and excellence. Thank you, Dr. Fasonic, for guiding us and leading us. You are truly an example of Colt pride never dies. Good luck in your future endeavors. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, just to help Mr. Smarsh out with his basketball program, we're going to go into the action agenda under athletics, item A. Northern Cambria Elementary Basketball, and discuss the Northern Cambria Elementary Basketball Boosters. I am going to assume that this is for use of facilities.
Yeah, well, there's some confusion because we just found out a week ago that we were voted in as a school booster program back in 2022. We never applied for that, and we were never notified. We only wanted to be a separate entity, the same as the NC Little Colts football program was. Evidently, because we were voted in back in 2022, we were supposed to be providing financial statements every July, which again, we were never asked for or notified about. So, kind of want to get some answers on that part, but also see if we can just be a separate entity program, just like the football program is for elementary football. Because I don't really understand, it doesn't seem like there's any benefits for either side on which one we are. NC Little Colts does fine on their own, and we've been doing fine on our own for the last 4 years now. So.
Well, we're going to have to look that over and let's get back to you on that there. Okay? Let's see what's up with that. It does look like it was passed back in, is it intramural program? No.
I was told it was the meeting of December 15th, 2022.
It wasn't, it was in November. November 15th, 2022, it was on the minutes.
Yeah, we're going to have to get back to you on that. I have to go through all these notes that Karen gave me, okay? So, we'll check that out. No matter what happens, it probably isn't going to affect this year, right? It's probably not going to affect the rest of this year, no matter what happens. So.
Yeah, we're actually only going to be hosting games at the high school one more week, and then we go into our tournament season.
Okay.
And which doesn't involve using this high school.
This looks like it was done under Mrs. Fry. Elementary basketball program? Is that what it is? Elementary basketball program?
Yeah, NCE.
Yeah, this looks like it was done under Mrs. Fry, so we'll have to check that out, okay? All right. Thanks, Sean.
I think Roland.
Yes, Roland, go ahead.
I'd like to interject that I think this all came about because there's been a couple of years now, and again, with each new board, with each new board that comes into effect, there's different thought processes as to what's going to happen with some of these things. We have in place that any group that wants to use our facilities, and this was brought up by the board, not by me, that any group that wants to use our facilities, number one, has to do an FMX to request that time. Number two, there's a listing of fees that's involved. And I will agree with Mr. Smarsh. I was not aware, I don't know if I was there at that meeting or not, but I know there was discussion and a lot of it prior to that about the basketball program. It went back to the fact that years ago, there were, you know, it was an intramural type thing at the middle school, elementary level, where it was just Northern Cambria kids playing each other. Then all of a sudden, it got out into where there were multiple schools playing at Harmony, Nantiglow, everywhere around. So the point was that I was not instructed by any member of the board that there was not to be any charges to any of these groups. So I requested the group last year to say, we need to talk about payment on this facility. There was some back and forth conversation. Ultimately, the conversation led to if they felt that they were not to pay any fee for that gym use, then they should approach the board, discuss it with the board, and have the board make a motion to tell me and them what was to happen. There was never anyone that approached the board about that, and it went off into the sunset. This year, same thing. I need some direction as to what is supposed to happen with that group. I'm concerned from the perspective is that my grandson plays on that team, and I certainly don't want anyone to come back to me and say, as finance director, you are not pursuing funds or whatever because there's a benefit to someone in your family. I could care less whether the board charges them a nickel or if they want full fee. The point is that somebody has to take the initiative to say, we're using your facility, we realize there's fees, we don't want to pay your fees, or we want to adjust your fees. That goes with the little Colts as well as the little basketball programs. They are no different if, in fact, you want to say that they are not a booster club. So we charge the football program every year based on what's on the list. They refused to pay us when I asked them that there would be a fee. They said, well, there shouldn't be a fee, and I said, take that up with the board. So that's where this is all led from. And again, I don't care what the board wants to do. I need direction as to what we are supposed to do. I think there may also be some misunderstanding as far as a booster club. I'm not so sure that that whole booster thing in an elementary level, I'm not saying it's not legal, but the problem with the boosters in as far as what we already have in place is the football boosters, the basketball boosters, the track boosters, all of those organizations that are in place were never charged for the use of their facilities. But the only differing factor is they're coattailing on an existing game. So there's already a football game down at the football field. And if the football boosters are down there, then they're there. So we're not providing a facility above and beyond what the taxpayers and the board already expects. In this case, and in the Little Colts case, we are doing something above and beyond what is normal and expected at a high school level. So again, that's what it's going to be, has to be decided by the board, whether or not they are a group that's considered a booster. They must supply us with those records. That's part of what the board states, that anybody that's going to have fundraisers has to do that. They're selling chances. Do they have a small games of chance license? I don't know.
I can shed a little light on this. So the basketball program started years ago when, I believe, Kevin, you were on the board, when Mr. Shia and Mr. McCall were actually paid by the school to run a basketball program for the elementary, middle school children.
That's the intramural thing he was talking about.
Right, but at that time, there were other schools coming here to play, and the funds that were made from the concession stands at those games were divided between the girls' basketball team got it one year, the boys' basketball team got it the next year, and when I came on to elementary basketball, I was talking to other parents on elementary basketball saying, why are we giving all this money to the adult basketball or the high school basketball programs When these are Northern Cambria children and it's their parents who are doing the work, the money should go back into the elementary program so that these kids can be playing at our school and a feeder program to our basketball programs, okay? And whether or not it's right or whatever, I don't feel that taxpayers should have to pay to use facilities that we pay taxes to build and maintain, but that's just me. And as a parent who has been with boosters for many years, I have a history with this situation. I believe, and if I can recall correctly, we determined that it was in the best interest of the elementary basketball program to be recognized by the school as a program. Now, it would still be governed the same by your board because you guys do everything, just like we did at the time. We did everything to make sure it happened to provide the kids with basketball. However, that would relieve you from having to pay fees to use the gymnasium, but it would mean that you would need to file the financial form. And it's a very simple form. Believe me, I've had heartburn about it myself back before I understood what this was all about. But to be recognized by the school, and if you have to have a letter to be able to raise the money, it's just transactional. You just show what you raised, show how you spent it, and that's it. It's not very hard. It's a pain in the neck to keep all the receipts, but believe me, if my understanding is correct, in April, you were here for this. The idea was to relieve you from having to pay those fees to use the gymnasium that essentially is yours as a taxpayer. And it's our school kids. It's our kids. It's not like you're having a private party and you want it free. You're offering a service to our community by taking your time to have our kids in a basketball program. So I understand that there was miscommunication or no communication. So I'm just offering what I know from being there for all those years.
The question then is, it looks like the basketball booster bylaws were adopted on November 15, 2022, okay? So the question is, did you guys decide not to charge them or not?
It was my understanding that the reason we recognize them as a school, I don't even know.
To not charge them.
It's not written in here about any of that, is what
It
I'm
was
saying.
never a motion made.
There's nothing about it, it's just adopting the bylaws.
But that's
all it
just,
is.
I don't know that there isn't something in another meeting. If that's just the bylaws, then they're bylaws.
This is the bylaws.
Right, I
this
don't know
is
that
the
the
adoption.
bylaws would say the school can't charge us.
Well,
That-
I'm saying, if it's the board vote, did you guys vote to not charge them or not?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, we did,
We'll have to look that up.
the reason that we did
Okay.
that was so we wouldn't have to charge them.
We'll have to look that
Because
up.
that
and
would
see
be
if
the
we
only
can find it.
advantage.
Okay, but until then,
I'm also part of the NC Little Colts football board, and we do pay a fee to use the stadium for our home games on Saturdays. We only have like 3 home games a year, but the school actually emails us a bill at the end of every season. We've never received any kind of bills from the school for any facility usage, so.
Right, and you shouldn't.
We'll have to look that up and see what the board decided back then, because it's not in what I have. Okay? All right, thanks.
No, I guess we could wait till the end of the meeting, but can we put something on the agenda to relieve them of paying things at the next meeting?
At the next meeting, yes. We
Okay.
can do whatever we want to, okay? But the problem is it gonna take effect now, or will it after the season? Because you're done with it, middle April, or middle February.
We only have one more weekend where
Yes.
it's games.
Retroactively, that's what the board
Okay,
decides.
all right.
The only other thing that has to be taken into consideration is if in fact it is a booster organization, then I'm assuming they have a checking account. We need to get a financial statement from them because the school dangles out there kind of with them. You saw what happened at United when a booster group has issues. So we need something from them to at least show that we are attempting to get financial information.
I'm gonna assume that since we accepted bylaws on the last board, that they're gonna have to fall under the rest of the bylaws that we accepted as a school district, so you're gonna have to file your stuff. If we're recognizing you as a booster organization under us, you're gonna have to file. It's just what's gonna have to happen.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's an easy form.
The communication
Right.
was we said we were boosters,
Okay.
and this is the second year we've been doing it, we never heard anything about this.
Totally get
Our
it.
doors are wide open, we'll do what we need to.
And we'll
Yes,
figure
we're just
out.
unaware. When we started in 2021, I believe, our first year, A lot of those board members were parents of sixth graders, so after that first year, they moved on and new members came in. So there was just some.
Yeah, and I thank you for continuing to come out for our kids, because every year we worry as we graduate. I have my last one in school now, and I worry that is somebody gonna step up and continue this, so thank you. I don't wanna make it hard for people to help.
Okay, we're good. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Site Logic monthly report. Cafeteria, building and grounds.
I'm gonna stand over here so I can pan through the slides, but this is the update for January. The overview of active work areas in Phase 1, the classroom addition. We continued metal wall stud framing, continued with mechanical, electrical, and fire protection rough-ins, continued installing the air barrier on the exterior of the building, installed brick veneer on the exterior of the building, installed windows as well. On the inside, the drywall top out in the corridors and insulated behind that. Some photos. The pink is the air barrier. You can see the windows installed there. Top right is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-ins. Bottom left is wall blocking for lockers, wall-mounted things like that. And bottom right is more mechanical, electrical, and plumbing items. In the gym, the wall and ceiling painting is completed. At this point, as of today, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-ins are pretty much complete. The gym equipment is pretty much all installed, and the floor at this point has all been sanded. The existing floor and the new floor has been installed. As of today, they're working on line striping, and the trusses over the gym storage room have been installed. That roof has been sheathed, and there is a underlayment installed on top of it. There's some, top left is the, you can see painting and the new basketball hoops. The top right, that's the flooring prior to it being installed. Bottom left is them sanding the floors, and the bottom right is just another angle of the gym.
Nick, what's the tentative, is that still like April, or is that this month? I can't remember.
The end of this,
The end of this month?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Brandon. Would that gym be up and ready for graduation time?
I don't know when your graduation is, but at the end of this month, first couple of weeks in March, it should be ready to roll.
Thank you.
Yep. Phases 5 and 6, that's the library, the auditorium, and the classroom renovations. In the current portion that we're working in, continued with mechanical, electrical, and plumbing items, painting, electrical device and fixture trim out, flooring installation, ceramic tile installation, and we began final cleaning. The area that we're currently in is pretty much ready to be turned over. I believe sometime next week, Dave's planning to pull those temporary partitions down and change the setup in there. We'll put up new temporary partitions so we can begin the next area. The library, as of today, all of the carpet tile is installed. The glass for the independent study rooms has been installed. Ceilings are completed. Began to move in there, so Jeff, thank you and your team for that. So that should be turned over relatively soon as well. All of these items will go up into the library. Once that's done, then we're going to begin the work in the auditorium. Top right, you can see a typical classroom in that area. Bottom left is terrazzo, patching, and the bottom right is just another, I believe that's an office space. Schedule overview, the last update, update number 9, had a dated date of January 9th, so there'll be a new schedule update going out soon. Phase 1, the classroom addition, is still a little bit ahead of schedule. Phases 2 and 3 are substantially completed. Phase 4, the gym, that'll be turned over at the end of this month and will be done in there. Phase 5, the library, that's almost complete as well. That's, like I mentioned, starting to move in. Per the original schedule, that's a little bit behind, but there's a lot of challenges with all the books and shelving and things like that, getting that area moved out. But we're in good shape now. In the auditorium, that's also, we were supposed to have started in here already,
but just given the sequence of things and whatnot, and what makes the most sense at the time, we haven't, but for the final completion of the project, we see no issue with completing that on time. And then phase 6, we got into that area a little bit ahead of schedule, so we are ahead there. In phase 6, after we're done where we are, we'll have to do the new secure entry vestibule, and that will kind of take us to the end of the project. Payment application summary, this is all in the monthly report that was provided to the district. Unless anybody has any questions, I'm just going to move on. Update on some of the challenges. So the board approved the vault for the fire service line, so that work's going to be scheduled for over the spring break. Whenever we do that work, the building's going to be out without water for about 2 days. So we've been talking about that in our team meetings and planning for that, but just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that as well. The locker room sanitary line, at this point, we've got the tile that was a 12-week lead time, and all those repairs were completed. So all of the high, tile, tripping hazards, things like that, at this point, that work is done. And the industrial arts room, the board did provide direction on that and determine what they'll be authorized to purchase for that space. So we're working with the architect and the engineers to get some documents issued to the contractor so we can get pricing on that. We may need some more information on that equipment, like ventilation requirements and things like that, just to make sure everything's squared away after we install it. Change management log. This is the only update, the change orders that were executed from after the last meeting. There's a few more at the bottom from bulletins that went out for changes in work. We're currently reviewing them. After we've reviewed them and believe it to be a fair price to the district, we'll present them to the board. A couple of items that we're watching, the generator relocation. There's been some conversations at our team meetings about the whole configuration of that space. So with Jeff, we're working with him to identify what the best layout for that whole area would be. In addition to the fuel oil tank that's had some issues, so seeing what we're going to do or what the district wants to do with that, that will kind of play into that whole layout. And as we previously talked about, there was the cost for the equipment for that tech ed room. Now that everything's been laid out, there's going to be a cost associated from the contractors for electrical, HVAC, potentially plumbing, things like that. Does anybody have any questions?
Jen, go ahead.
Go ahead. Is it okay? Okay. So I've been hearing some buzzing, mumbling and rumors milling about the community and within the district. So for the record, could you state again, we are expected the gymnasium to be finished when?
End of this month.
Thank you. And I know you mentioned that you haven't started on the auditorium, so that was a little bit behind, but when do you expect our project to be completed overall?
In August, like we were supposed to.
And so there will be no, we will start school under one campus without any question.
Correct.
Thank you.
Carol, go ahead.
Okay. But when you start school in the fall, there will still work will still be going on, correct?
No, I mean, this summer primarily there's going to be a lot of site work. We'll be doing asphalt paving, sidewalks, things like that. As I mentioned in phase 6, we were able to get a jump on those spaces, so we'll be working on the secure entry vestibule, but that shouldn't be an issue to complete that over the summer. Will there be a little bit of punch list items like installing signage, or if a wall got nicked here or there and it needs to be touched up and painted? Potentially, but I don't expect there to be any substantial work going on whenever school returns.
The heating and ventilation will all be turned over, the staff will be trained on it, everything will be working.
Yep. Yeah, after this
And
heating,
the oil tank, everything's gonna be taken care of?
well, the oil tank's up to the district and what the district wants to do with that. The underground tank is not in the project. We don't have anything to do with that. We have, we've started those conversations about what we want to do at our team meetings, but we need to really figure out, if that's going to be part of this project, what the district wants to do, so that can be ready for the next, really, and it's the heating season, right? So whenever kids come back, we're still in cooling, so that won't be that big of a deal.
So can I ask Jeff, are we waiting for an estimate on the tank, the underground tank from anybody? Do we?
Yeah, I'm got some things in the works for that. like
Yeah,
sizes
so,
and
so
dimensions and-
we have nothing, as, you know, we don't have that information at this time, but we're expecting it to be done over the, when? Over the summer?
Well, the next steps,
This spring or this summer.
yeah, after this heating season, but the next steps that need to happen is, A, identify what the district wants to do above ground, might be the best bet. That way, if you have an issue in the future, you can see it and it's easily repairable. That ties into the generator and that whole layout back there and where it would go. There's gonna be other requirements for it. If it's above ground, you're gonna need pipe bollards around it, you might need a containment tank around it, things like that.
It's gonna be a significant expense, though. This isn't like a $5,000 expense for this.
I wouldn't even wanna take a guess, but it's not gonna be,
What I'm being told, yes, the answer to your question, it's not gonna be $1 million, I don't think, but it's not gonna be $100 either. So once I get some quotes in hand, I would like to request a meeting, sit down with the board and the team, and review our options and direct where we wanna go from there.
and that said, one option is, back to the contingency here. I know that's really small, but, including the door hardware, right now, with what's been executed, there's still $278,000 left out of that original $650. In addition to that, there's some allowances in each of the prime contractors' contracts, where you have it if you need it. If you don't need it, you get that money back. There's some of them that we've had to use for things that have just come up, but there may be money coming back to the district there. So depending on how that all shakes out, that might be a good option to use some of those funds.
Well, one of those would be for the tech ed room, because don't they have to do additional? Yeah.
Yeah, so we can use them, we can use contingency, however the district would like to proceed there.
Okay.
If I could just make a comment, Nick. You gotta understand, until we go through a whole cycle of the seasons with this HVAC system here, we're dealing with three systems, the old, the old, and the new. Until we get that all run through all the systems, a year of heating, cooling, there will be guys here programming and adjusting thermostats, air balancing, so that thing will not be 100% the day we move in.
But what you're saying is you're not gonna drop it in our laps and walk away, you're gonna stay here and make sure it's operating
Yes.
before you walk away.
And it's in the specs.
Not that the thing is not gonna be done on time. Thank you.
Another thing I would like to add there is that we have, SiteLogic has commissioning agents involved currently, and they go through the whole control system and review what is in the specifications and what it's actually programmed to do, so that if there's issues, they can be resolved and we don't walk away. There's an agreement after the substantial completion of this project. Per the agreement we already have with the district, we're here for a year at minimum. If you want to continue that agreement, you're able to. But again, you have us as a resource to lean on if there's issues. And that's what those guys specialize in. It's not me, it's not Dave, it's commissioning people that, that's what they do day in and day out.
May I tie this cafeteria thing that we got from Mrs. Brown? We got a couple sheets here for cafeteria capital items. If she could explain that, is this part of the building construction cost, or is this gonna be change order stuff?
No, it's not part of
This
the
is
project.
completely different. So this is gonna be over and above what we're talking about here. Okay, because we also have an item coming up here about cafeteria equipment. Is that over and above that?
That's part of it.
Okay, but it's still over and above what he's talking about.
It's
We have
not.
nothing in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
The only thing we're doing in the cafeteria is closing the exterior windows up.
So just want to ask that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Item B, post and advertise. Years old, Board of Education authorize the administration to post and advertise for 2 maintenance positions as per the prior meeting, and I'll make that motion. Second by Mr. Paul Westrick. Questions or comments?
What exactly are these positions?
There are 2 maintenance positions that we voted to create last meeting.
Are these the same as all of the other maintenance positions that we currently
We
have?
don't have any maintenance positions.
Oh, so these are 2 new employees.
Yes. All the other ones are custodians.
Is there a concern that, are these gonna be union employees?
I don't know that yet. I think it was outside. I think we decided to adopt these as outside the union. I think that's how the motion went.
So are we safe that we're not gonna be replacing union jobs?
Nope.
Toby?
I think we're gonna have to take a close look at the job description when it's created, certainly.
Okay, do I need a roll call on this?
Yeah.
Go ahead, roll call.
Mrs. Hoover?
No.
Dr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Krimenacher?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Basil?
No.
Mr. Westrick?
Yes.
Ms. Zenshaw?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, the fiber optic line, discuss the fiber optic line to the high school for internet, telephone, et cetera, and when or if it should be discontinued after the schools consolidate into the building. I'm gonna inquire, does this mean the old high school?
Yeah, so just to clarify, Kevin, you guys have a fiber optic line that you lease between two buildings. It provides all the internet and phone to the other facility, as well as access to the cameras and stuff like that. So at some point, you guys are gonna mothball that building or sell, or whatever you guys are gonna do. I just need to know what service level you wanna maintain in that space, when it's no longer the high school. We can file paperwork, so that the funding that covers it, the E-rate, helps to continue to pay that. And it's a nominal amount that you guys end up paying for it. But how long do you want to keep those services is kind of my question. Just say, so we maintain it or update it or get rid of it if it need be.
I don't know why we keep it if there's nobody in there, but that's just my
Just
opinion.
security, I guess, for dam, like, I think you mentioned
again,
security.
If you cut the line, you will not have phones in that building, you will not have remote access to the camera, somebody's going up there to check the security cameras, they can physically go to the building, which, again, can be done. You will not have a backup, phone lines for the, fire alarm and the, security system. And again, you won't have any other internet services, again, if there was an office being maintained up there for whatever reason.
Does that affect our insurance at all? Like, does any of that make it difficult to insure the space?
That's something we would have to inquire about.
Can we do that before we make a decision on this stuff?
Yeah, so we want to get your feedback on it.
And nothing heating wise would depend on like, from
Being
the,
able to see the controls remotely from this facility so that if something needs adjusted in Jeff's end, otherwise he has to physically go to the building.
Are there any controls up there that, Jeff, you would be getting notifications on your phone?
Yeah. on the orange.
So you would not be able to get notifications if something goes offline up there?
Correct.
Just another consideration. Thank you.
Keep rudimentary service.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting, if you want, when do we have to know by?
We don't need to know immediately, basically, talking with the E-rate consultant, we could file paperwork to turn it into an annex of the high school facility, which is moving down here and maintain that E-rate service.
Is
Again,
March-
you're talking about $33 a month.
I was gonna ask, how much is that?
That's an awesome.
They're covering about $1,600.
All right,
So again, it's a nominal amount, if you guys want it or
Okay.
not, get rid of it, save money.
all right. Thanks, buddy. Okay, cafeteria equipment, discuss the list of cafeteria equipment that needs to be updated or replaced to facilitate all lunches. The cost of the district will be approximately $200,000 on our pages given, but this one says differently, so if you guys wanna take it from here and explain that, that'd be great.
Well, the first step is that apparently conversations took place between Kristen and the appliance company that we typically deal with, just to get an idea as to what we're looking at for cost. And you can see that spreadsheet that I prepared that has a listing of all the items that are not necessarily need replaced right now, but soon to be within the next few years. So Kristen then did the update on there as to which ones she felt are eminent that should be replaced at this point. So she can take it from there.
So basically, in order for us to accommodate all of the students in one building, and with our equipment that we have on hand as it is now, we have not had any new equipment other than the piece of equipment we got 2 years ago when I first came to this district. But our equipment is over 15 years, we're talking now going on 20 years old. So, you know, there's a lot of wear and tear on that equipment, and it's concerning that eventually, with more students coming in, we're gonna be using these ovens, we're gonna be using these coolers and warmers a lot more, that we're gonna have more repair. And with the equipment that we have, there's gonna be need for replacement. So the district has asked me what we need by next year. So those are the items, they're the priority items that I have given you. The rest of the stuff that is on that sheet is items we'll eventually need moving forward. But like I said, this is for the students. This is something that, you know, we're definitely gonna need. Our market forge steamer and kettle unit, we cannot find parts for that anymore. It's luckily, we did have a repairman come in. He did find one part, and I believe Jeff got the quote for that, but it's getting scarce. It's a lot of stress on the cafeteria staff, I will tell you that. Coming in at each day, not knowing if your kettles are gonna work, not knowing if your steamers are gonna work. So that becomes like an overall stress on the cafeteria department. So these are just items that, you know, I would hope that, you know, you guys could talk amongst yourselves. If you have questions, you can ask me, you can ask Roland, you can ask Jeff, because we've been dealing with, you know, trying to just keep the cafeteria afloat. Yes.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Roland, because you said we need this by next school year, are you able to work this into our budget that you're working through now?
That's a good question. I don't know what the budget's gonna be, because there's talk about money being spent that I have no clue. I don't know how much that is. A lot of the budget stuff's up in the air.
Okay.
Again, whether the board chooses to take cash out of the equipment or the excess that's there, whether they decide to borrow money to purchase items that are necessary for the move, that's up to them. I can't say right now, nor will I attempt to say we do or we don't have X number of dollars for this, that, or the other. My budget's complete, then I can go ahead and say that. But there's just a lot of unknown things that I can't address at this point because I can't.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add one thing to the cafeteria comment? I got a quote in your packet from Boyer Refrigeration. 2 years ago, it's my understanding, we had some new equipment, rooftop units installed to support the walk-in cooler and freezers, but we didn't change the evaporator coils at that time, so they're old and we're out. They're leaking right now, so about once a month, every 5 weeks, I'm having not add free on. So, not that, I mean, it's a lot of money, I understand that, but it's also being tied into 2-year-old equipment, so we can't really just throw away 2-year-old equipment because of the parts. It probably all should have been changed at the same time, but the deal is it wasn't, so.
Someone else said,
Just the obvious question, but I don't know if I understand the equipment up at the high school. I'm assuming there's nothing that
That equipment
replaces.
at the high school is actually over 30 years old.
Oh.
So we're not even gonna talk about that. I
All of
mean,
it's, okay.
we come in every day and we pray that everything turns on. We have lost a lot of coolers within the past 2 years. And our walk-in cooler and freezer at our high school is not in any great condition. So, yeah, I wouldn't, other than the small wares, our pots, pans, and there is one warmer that we can bring down, but other than that, that's pretty much.
Is there a way, if you looked at this list, these 4 items, is there a way to prioritize like one over the other in terms of?
1 and 2.
Is that how you put them? Okay.
1 and 2 are a necessity because the equipment, the market forge kettle and steam. It's a combi oven, so if that goes bad, both of them don't work. So we wouldn't be able to have pasta, we wouldn't have, be able to make beef tacos because we use our kettles for all of that. And not only does it change what we serve at Northern Cambridge School District, but it also changes what we serve at the Catholic school as well. So that's where we're at.
So Kristen, would you think like 1 and 2 are like, oh, we have to get those 3, 4, like you could evaluate a couple months after, just out of curiosity?
We could probably evaluate and see what we need, but eventually I would like to be able to start putting things into a budget yearly, so like we can continue to purchase new equipment and.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Business and finance refrigeration repair, is that what you hit on, Jeff?
Yeah.
Refrigeration repair? That's what, $6,621.20 for those evaporators?
Yeah.
We'll put that on for,
And that's for equipment that has, okay.
we'll put that on for vote on the next meeting. Did you get that, Karen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving company for the high school discussed the results of the moving estimate from Walks Moving and Storage to move the contents of the high school to the new addition. Their estimate is $21,600 to move this stuff. Okay, everybody good to put that on?
And again, to my comment, I'm meeting another company tomorrow for another quote, so I'll have something back on.
Is the next meeting early enough to do that, to make that decision?
I should have it to you probably by the end of the week.
Okay.
Do we need 3 for that? I was just gonna ask, do we need 3?
We need 3.
Yeah, we need 3 bids.
We need 3 bids for that.
Because it's over 12, 8. Or attempt to get 3 bids. We'll put that on for vote, okay?
Yes.
Hey, Jeff, can I just clarify on the bidding, what we're doing right now, is that, the teachers, everyone boxing their stuff up and then they're moving all that and it's like literally the entire school? I mean, is that what they're virtually doing?
The wood shop, metal shop, classrooms, tables, desks, all that.
Okay, thanks.
And do we have containers, I'm sorry, I'm jumping in.
Nope,
Do we
you're
have
good.
containers for storage ready to go if we have surplus of whatever? I mean, at one of our last meetings, we mentioned that we have surplus toilets, which boggles my mind. Do we have containers that we can
Right
put
now,
surplus
some of
in?
it's in sea cans that you see out in the parking lot, but eventually we're gonna have to do something. We can't keep those storage cans on hand, and we won't keep paying for them. So I'm hoping that the high school folks will start doing some serious purging before we actually move, so that whatever is not coming down here, we're not paying to move it down here just to throw it away later.
Okay, so are you coming up with a plan then to move those containers up to the high school so that when our students start in August, then this is all free of storage space?
We'll have to talk about how we want to handle that, yeah, so.
Carolyn?
Dave, I know, do you have a handle on what's in all of these containers?
7 containers we have here at the high school. 4 of them have things that definitely need to come back in here.
Okay,
There's 2 or 3 of them that have things that maybe, if a teacher wants an extra cabinet or a wardrobe, there's some base cabinets that were saved, they can be brought back in as well. There is some extra televisions, toilets, toilet partitions, marker boards, that kind of things that we just were directed to salvage, turn over to the owner. If the owner chooses not to keep them, that's up to you guys. The containers that are at the high school are things that everybody looked through that determined we'll never use it, it'll go towards the sale, let's call it a sale, if that's what we choose to do. That's up at the high school, out of our way.
okay.
That's kind of where we are.
So the things that are down here in the containers, you have a list, but do you have a list of what condition they're in, like?
No, not really. The wood
Size?
shop and the tech ed equipment is in 2 containers. We know some of that stuff is coming back in here. Now that if the board approves to purchase new, some of that stuff can be sold now. So some of that stuff can be moved.
Okay, but you have a good handle on what's in there.
Yes and no. Between Jeff and I, we will, and we won't know till the end of the project. And it's up to the board or the district to decide what we're saving and what we're not. I just needed it out of our way.
Who is on that committee right now besides you and Jeff? Like, who is do you need people?
Well,
There
we
really isn't a
talked about it
committee.
at our team meetings.
That's what
Do
I'm
you
getting
need a
at.
committee?
That's what I'm getting at.
I think we could have some committee to handle that, yeah.
Oh,
To coordinate all the little incidental things that need to happen.
By next
Jeff
meeting, I'll
is.
do that. Okay,
I think Jeff needs help.
all right.
I mean, it'd be good to have an inventory list just for us, for our knowledge, to know what we have.
Dave, you've done this a couple times in other schools.
Oh, yes.
How does it usually look? Like what,
There could possibly be some containers left here on the property after the bulk of the construction is done. Because at the end of the project, you're more worried about moving the new students, new teachers into the building and worrying about what we have surplus left over after the fact. That's typically how it works.
but I guess I'm talking about like getting down in the weeds. Are there teams of, like, do you direct the teachers, hey, get this room taken, boxed
Typically,
up?
I deal with either the clerk of the works or the facilities director or a superintendent. And then they would delegate the powers to be as to do the work.
And you guys do talk about that some in the monthly meetings
In our
or
team meetings, yes.
weekly, however you guys do it?
Team meetings, yes.
Okay.
Very good? Okay. Tech ed purchases, discuss the source of the money, budget or contingency fund for the purchase of the equipment needed for the tech ed room. The cost of what is needed for classes is $40,474.65. I'm guessing the answer is the same as for the other stuff, right? You don't know where it's coming from, right?
A lot of it hinges on if in fact the board and it comes to an agreement as far as what there's gonna be any kind of incentive. We discussed that briefly with you guys in executive session. I don't wanna give you too many details, but that is part of the whole equation as well.
So Roland, could you then create a budget with this built in so that we don't have to touch the contingency fund at this time?
I can't tell you today, but whenever the board finally sits down and decides, okay, we're gonna offer an incentive, what type of incentive, and all of those types of things that we've been looking at up to this point, then that all gets thrown into the whole mix so that I can say to you, here's how much money I anticipate coming into the district next year, here's how much money we anticipate that we're gonna spend. Do we have enough left over to do those things, or am I gonna suggest to the board or suggest that they have a tax increase? All of those things have to come into play, and there's so many loose ends dangling right now with all that's going on that
Sure.
I can't say that to you. And I've been around long enough to know that if I make a comment, then somebody's gonna hold me to it. So I will not do that until I'm sure that what I present makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, when is the latest you guys need to know about the equipment going in there?
That's kind of why
Soon
I'm
as you can go,
sitting around
right?
tonight, because I'd like to see this go through, because I need to get the rough ends in as soon as possible. And if I could just say one other thing, something else to think about. It does say budget or contingency. If we run it through the contingency, Nick showed you where there is money there to do this. But at $40,000, we do have a little bit of extra money that we're gonna need to do some more rough ends for this equipment. If you run it through the contingency, there'll be a markup for the contractors to buy this stuff. I understand that.
I'm sorry, you did say that. Can't we at the bare minimum, I thought we talked about maybe doing rough ends for the design
We
so
did
that
do
we.
We did, we have direction
Okay.
for that, and we
Okay.
own some of the infrastructure, we're not disputing that. We just need to know what equipment you're purchasing and what location it's going to be at.
That wasn't on the drawing? I thought that,
No.
no, that wasn't on there.
We just have to decide where we're gonna pull the money from. That's what we gotta do.
Oh, I got a bigger coffin.
Go ahead.
We have a principal who asked for books, and I didn't forget about you.
Thank you.
Because honestly, we don't function here without our teachers and our students.
So I'm gonna have a problem, even like with cafeteria, we may have to repurpose some of that so that Mrs. Tibbet can get, Dr. Tibbet can get her books. They're just things, there's gonna be give and take. But if our students can't have what they need primarily, then, I just don't know what good our spending is. And this obviously wasn't budgeted in. Have we reconsidered it in the budget anywhere that we can provide these books that were supposed to have been
Bob, I
budgeted?
think what we need to do is have a finance committee meeting, and sit down and just see where this is coming from before the next meeting, okay? If we can, all right?
And I didn't forget,
Can you do that? I'll get with you on that, we'll get something set up. All right, that way we can make some informed decisions of where we can do that from. All right, be it resolved, the Board of Education authorize the annual payment to EduLink Software Solutions for the district's teacher evaluation software. The cost for 2024-25 is $6,271. Go ahead, motion by Mike, second by Jen. Questions or comments?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay, go ahead.
No, they made the motions. Go ahead, Jen.
Dr. Tibbet, is this the software that you mentioned in your report that our teachers are using to track our students?
No,
Okay.
no, that was Link It.
Okay.
This is PAE TEP, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is what we do our teacher evaluations with.
Okay, thank you.
That's all.
How many years have we used this?
Many. Oh my. 8. I mean, it goes back a ways. You know, you look at it, you see Tom's name in there. and It's
Okay.
actually even more than, it would be more than 8.
So it's something you wanna keep, I'm sure?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna do a all in favor. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, community relations, nothing, curriculum instruction, nothing. Legislation, policy development, hearing to close the high school. Now, this is on advice from our solicitor, obviously. The information about the hearing on March 4th, 2025 is to close the high school. The hearing will be prior to the scheduled meeting of the whole at 6 p.m. I'm guessing this is before the March meeting of the whole.
Yeah.
Okay? This hearing must allow for 90 days between the hearing and the vote on June 17th, 2025 regular meeting. The ad will go in the paper during the month of February for the public notice. And this is to comply with school code.
School code requires that there be a public forum for people to provide comments before a school facility is closed. So that's what this will do.
That will be held prior to the committee of the whole meeting on March. Everybody got that? Okay. Item B, Policy News Network, information on you can see that in front of you from the PSBA. Okay, I'm sure, I think we all get that in our boxes anyway. Okay. All right, item C, Policy 005, Organization. Here's all the Board of Education adopts the update to Policy 005, Organization.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Mike Basil,
Second.
by Mr. Dawn Cook. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Policy 308, Employment Contract Board Resolution, be it resolved, the Board of Education adopts the update to Policy 308, Employment Contract Board Resolution. Mrs. Jen Stock made the motion. Second, Ms. Daniel Hoover. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, item 823, opioid agonist. The Board of Education adopts the policy update of the opioid antagonist. Mr. Daniel Hoover makes a motion. Second, Mr. Mike Basil. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose.
I oppose.
Policy 610, purchases subject to bid or quotation. Be resolved, the Board of Education adopts the update for policy 610, purchases subject to bid or quotation. Mr. Mike Basil makes a motion. And then Mr. Daniel Hoover. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Policy 611, purchases budgeted. Be it resolved, the Board of Education adopts the update to policy 611. Mr. Mike Basil makes a motion. So Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
New policy 718.1 therapy dogs. Be it resolved, the Board of Education adopts policy 17.18.1 therapy dog. This is the second reading. I'm sorry, who was first?
Doesn't matter.
Mrs. Danielle Hoover made the motion. Second by Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Questions or comments? Go ahead.
Did Laura or someone make the comment last meeting that we had or did I see an email that there was another policy that dealt with the therapy dogs coming in or something like that?
No, what happened was the adoption could not be for the policy because it has to be on the second reading. You adopted to.
I did see that, I don't know why I was thinking there was something that she said was existing, but no, there's nothing that's.
There's a service animal.
Yes,
Service
that
animal,
already
okay,
exists,
that's, okay,
yeah. Yeah, not for therapy dogs.
okay, thank you.
Roll call.
I have comment.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just 3 points that I brought out. The owner handler is the only one who can handle this dog during the work hours, during those hours. Second thing, it already mentions in here that you have to make adaptations for students and accommodations for students and parents. And then thirdly, the insurance liability could be a factor because it does not quite cover everything we need. That's all.
Roll call.
Dr. Crew?
No.
Mrs. Crew?
No.
Mr. Krimenacher? No. Mrs. Lee?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
No.
Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Mr. Westrick?
No.
Ms. Zenshaw?
Yes?
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Motion fails.
Personnel, school resource officer, I believe we talked with Mr. Rusty already about that resource officer thing, so we'll have to wait for the mayor and the borough council to get together with that agreement. So, student teachers, information on the student teachers in the district, basically we just got the information on which student teachers will be with which teachers in the district learning the trade. Okay?
May I?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I know it's on the topic, well, it's not student teachers, it's substitute teachers. Should I wait till the?
Yeah, that's gonna be coming up.
Okay,
Okay?
sorry.
Resignation, be resolved, the Board of Education discuss and accept with regret the resignation of Mrs. Cheryl Sprinkle as a cafeteria worker effective February 7th, 2025. Mrs. Sprinkle has 9 years of service in the district. Motion, I'll do Danielle for the motion and Carol as the second. Good? Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay,
Kristen, do you think you're gonna need to how many hours is
that's a good idea.
this?
She is a 5-hour worker. At this point in time, we need all hands on deck. However, though, once we do consolidate, we'll have 5 employees coming down to this kitchen, so I think we'll be okay.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
If that changes, let us know.
Okay.
Okay? Good question, Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Ignite professional substitute, be resolved, the Board of Education approves the following Ignite professional substitutes. You can see them in front of you. Motion by Mrs. Danielle Hoover. Let's go to Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Questions or comments? Go ahead.
Okay, glad to see we have more subs available for us. I think we talked about it before. We have some substitute teachers who are coming in as second-year ed students, and I'm thrilled that these students are going to get the opportunity to sub while they're in school, and that we can take advantage of having more subs because of the program. However, I feel very strongly that when we have these young educators who are still in college, that they should be at the elementary middle school only. I do not think it's appropriate to have them at the high school with kids that they were just in school with. I think if I had a child who was a sophomore in college, I wouldn't necessarily want them in a high school setting yet. I think it's just too close in age to the kids they're trying to control, and they may even be friends with some of these students that they were just in school with. So I think it's important to have them come into our schools and get that experience and give us more subs to deal with, but I really feel strongly that these young educators need to be in our elementary and middle school only.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Staff development, nothing at this time. Student activities, fundraiser calendar, you have in front of you. Anything out of the ordinary there? Motion by Mr. Mike Bowser. Second by Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the request of Mr. Matthew Klein and Mrs. Sarah Klein, TSA advisors, for 31 students to attend a TSA state competition at Seven Springs. The cost of the district will be $9,729. Registration and payment is due to Vail Sport Resorts by the March 1st deadline, and there's no exceptions. So detailed information is attachment 8, number 8.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Thomas Rocco. Second by Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Questions or comments?
I just want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Klein for always being there for our students. We have great students, and congratulations to all of them, but also they provide us with the best breakdown so we can see everything. So I appreciate your efforts, so thank you for that.
Everybody good? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good luck to all of you. Transportation. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the following substitute bus driver for the 24-25 school year, and all the clearances were received and reviewed. You can see the 2 people in front of you.
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Tom Lockett. Mr. Tom Lockett. Second by Mr. Mike Basil. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
All right, we already did the athletics for the boosters. Assistant coaches, discuss the following open positions and the assistant volunteer applicants as follows. Now, I didn't have time to write those names in there. If anybody knows them, please put them in for me. Or we could just list them on the voting meeting.
They're for discussion at this point, right?
Okay, so we'll hold off on the names for that, okay?
And I want to verify that everybody has their clearances,
Yeah,
so
so
they make it here.
we will
please.
put this on for a vote next time, okay? Because some of these are already getting ready to, in fact, they all are, getting ready to do their open gyms and
Right.
start their season, so we gotta have that on.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Would those names have already come from Dan Pajak?
That, they would have been in our email.
Yeah, they did, they were there.
So then that means they have clearances. We
I believe they were all
established
attached, if you
Yeah.
saw them.
They-
So, but like I said, I didn't have time to write a name. and
that.
send it.
Yeah, I got that part. I'm just saying that names will never come in front of us unless they're cleared,
Yeah.
ever. So you don't have to worry about that.
I had a conversation with him that I would, just through email back and forth with some things changed. We're good.
But they are all cleared.
The
Or we would
clearances
have
were all
never
good
seen
as far
them.
as I know.
Yes, again.
The only question I'm gonna have here is, I thought we voted on some of these last time, so I'm wondering how many open positions we actually have. This seems like redundancy or something. So
I
I'd
agree.
like to just, if we could for the next meeting, if Dan is around, can we have a list of all the coaches and all the
Definitely did
positions
track
for the
that.
spring?
But we also,
They're volunteers.
Not all of them. Okay,
We definitely did track last time.
I thought we
Yep.
did some baseball,
Yeah, but
I thought we did
softball.
sad.
I know we did
Was it the
softball
assistant-
too.
Just
Yeah, was it the assistants?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was.
We did a bunch.
We voted on her too, because she's a volunteer.
So I would just like a list of all the people, and then those ones up to date, and just know how many positions are actually open, because this just seems like we just keep adding. We'll just do that, we'll send that in for next.
I can send it to you and
Yes,
then
please
email
do.
and check on that, just
But we'll
to,
put it on for a
just to
vote.
put what's necessary.
Okay, track uniforms, discuss the purchase of new track and field uniforms for both the girls and boys track teams. The last time uniforms were purchased was in 2018, and they are on the schedule in the replacement cycle, so the cost for the uniforms for both teams will be $4,465. Put that on, right, guys? I would have thought this should have been on earlier, so we could get them in time, but.
Also, quick comment, Norma, if you want to remind Dan that, and I'm sure he knows this, that we are no longer using the Bronco Colt logo. We have to go with our branded Colt that we decided, so that all the uniforms eventually catch up and have the same logo.
All right, be resolved, the Board of Education will enter an executive session at 7:29 PM to discuss litigation, contract, students, and personnel. I'll make that motion. Second by Carol. Questions or comments?
Yeah, just a.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Folks, you can stay here, we will be leaving, so you can stay Stay comfortable.
We're going upstairs.
No, we're gonna go.
You'll be back.
Okay, be it resolved. Let's see, resume the meeting February 4th, 2025, committee of the whole meeting at 8:04 PM. Okay, personnel. Be resolved, the Board of Education appoints Mr. Alan Johnson for the position of superintendent to begin July 1st, 2025, for a 3-year term ending June 30, 2028. Motion by Mr. Bob Western. Mr. Jerry Krimenacher. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Jen.
So I'm gonna state, everyone knows that I'm for Dr. Pasonic. I've always been in support of Dr. Pasonic. I feel as though it is a bad move for our district to change the middle of a multi-million-dollar project to change superintendents when she has done a super job. I sat on the board when I hired her. I wanted someone, when I was looking for candidates then, I wanted someone who was local, someone who was invested in our teachers and students, and someone who was a Colt, and she was. She was all of those things. She's never behaved with malice. She's never put our district in jeopardy, to the best of my knowledge. Is she human? Yes. Are we all human? Yes, of course. So she's guilty of speaking out of turn, and maybe she's very passionate about what she does. She's very knowledgeable. Does she, get frustrated with the board when half the board has already maybe made up their decision? Yes, of course. And so we're all guilty of that. We all come here with a lot of emotions. This is a heightened facility of a lot of decisions that we make, and I take this job very seriously. So I support Dr. Pasonic. That isn't to say that I will not work well with whatever administrator sits in that position. I believe that Dr. Pasonic showed up every day, no matter when all of this began. She dealt with the public. She dealt with people coming back to her and, all the negativity and questioning her authority. She always worked with integrity. She was a positive presence. She showed up at all of our events for our students, maybe not every day, but she was there. She has Colt pride. She is what Colt pride is in what I would want as a superintendent. She was visible. And I think it's a loss for our district that we are accepting her leaving. And she was a good, dedicated superintendent to our district. That's all. Thank you.
I echo those sentiments. She is everything we needed at this school at the right time. She's the best we've had in forever. And we got her at a discount rate, trust me. There is no need to remove her. There is no need to hire someone else. There is no need to pay daily per diem to have someone stay here and try to do the job between now and July. I think it's a waste of money. We're quibbling over the cost of books for the reading program, but we're gonna jump into this gigantic expense. We can't buy things for our tech ed room, but we're gonna do away with the perfectly good administrator and pay out the wazoo to get her out of here, pay extra money to have someone come in as a per diem rate. I just don't, it's completely contradicting everything you guys have been pounding down our throats. And then, thanks, Mr. Lieb, for admitting that it's all retribution for the building. That was great.
Roll call.
Are we gonna tell them what he's making? Do we have to let the public know what we're paying this man?
Yeah, 120,000. It would be less than the Dr. Pasonic was gonna make this year.
Upon her, what you're paying her out?
Yeah. No, this is just for Alan.
Okay.
This is just for Mr.
120,000
Johnson.
for the new
This
superintendent
is not
starting
just-
July 1st. Okay. Anyway, roll call.
Write that down.
Mrs. Kruger. Yeah, what's the per diem?
That's
Yes.
next, it's coming.
Hang on.
Mr. Krimenacher?
What was the answer to that one?
And he can vote not
Yes.
living here?
Did you say yes?
Yes.
He's gonna.
I said yes.
Let him dig his.
Okay.
Sherry said yes.
Fine, we're in
Mr.
vote,
Hanover
please.
said yes.
Okay.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Rocco,
Yes.
Mr. Basil,
No.
Mr. Westrick,
Yes.
Ms. Zenshaw,
No.
Mrs. Hoover,
No.
Dr. Crew.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Okay. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the severance and release agreement for Dr. Laura Fasonic effective February 5th, 2025.
I'm sorry, what date?
February 5th, 2025. First, Mr. Mike Basil,
I'll second.
second, Mr. Norm Crook. Okay, questions or comments? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just for full disclosure, after being informed, I don't think the financial impact is quite as impactful as we were thinking. So I think it's fair to say that. But I think it obviously goes without saying that, you know, we all supported Laura. I think she's done a great job at the school. I will support whoever the new, well, now it's gonna be Ellen. I think it's only fair that we support the new super that's gonna be here. That's our job as a board, regardless of what the way the board votes. Even if we're against what was supported, we have a responsibility based on our oath that we support the actions moving forward as a united board. So that's our job, but I have real concerns for the school district moving forward. You know, it does say in the Bible, divided house cannot stand, and I am telling you right now, we have a very divided house here, and it's gonna be a big issue moving forward if we don't find a way to work together as a board. And right now, there's a lot of distrust in the community. I think there's a lot of misinformation about the school building. If you only knew what we're spending in oil right now, that will be out in the expenses next month for a high school. A lot of people think that we spent millions and millions of dollars over what this building should have costed. And Laura took the brunt of that because she supported it, even though it wasn't her direction. So I just want to make sure I go through this so I don't miss anything. Excuse me. I will say that these are decision makers that are sitting here right now, but everybody needs to aware that there's an important election coming up. And one thing I will give the group that won the election last time is they had people show up at the polls and make a difference. So we got to give them credit for that because they didn't agree with our decisions. And as much as we're against it, they were able to get people out to vote and they got the majority, and we have to respect that. But at the same time, we have an important election coming up with many seats coming up. So I recommend if you don't agree with the decisions that are being made right now, take the time to get out and vote or put your names on the ballot because that's the only way that you make a difference. Or showing up in these seats, but that pressure doesn't necessarily impact the decisions that are made. So take time to get out and vote, spread the word, and have people sit on, run for the election because you're not guaranteed that all of us are going to be running this coming election yet. There's not a guarantee for that. Also, just complacency is not going to get it done, so action is the only way to get it done. You know, I wanted to just make sure I recognize what Laura's done for this school district. This severance package is fair for her. I don't agree with having to do this, but I'm not going to support voting for the new candidates that are coming on board, but I will support what Laura deserves. She's put up with a lot of crap for a year and a half to 2 years. Disrespect, not listening to her decisions that she felt was best. She has over 30 years of experience, and I felt like she's dealt with a lot of disrespect, but I hope we can find a way to move forward as a board, because if we don't, this school district is going down a very bad path. And our reputation, we're not gonna have people that wanna move to a district that has this type of drama going on as adults. I'm actually embarrassed that students have to see the way that the adults are acting on this. It's actually embarrassing, reflects on all of us, not just people that maybe their actions reflect on, that are doing it. And then, I just wanna make sure I talk about everything, because I wanna take my time to make sure I say all this. I think Laura's been nothing but an advocate for the students, the districts, the staff. I don't think what she's had to tolerate as a professional and a human should ever be required by anyone. And she does deserve a soft landing coming out of this. And I think what was offered is actually very fair. Full disclosure, I think it's actually good for her. I think what was offered is actually fair by the entire board. I hope the people that are making these decisions, including technically all of us, but I think they really need to dig deep in their souls if they have one, because I think that what has gone on in the last year and a half has really been a vendetta against her. literally because of the building project. And I think it's very evident. Whether people want to own up to that or not, I don't personally have a preference. It's just, that's the way I see it. And to close, again, I already mentioned about adults acting the way they are. I'm very frustrated. I hope when I have grandchildren one day, my kids can look at the standard we set. And, you know, I like to refer to the Bible. Everybody knows that. And I think one of the second most important commandment is, you know, love your neighbor. And it doesn't mean love your neighbor like love them, but it means wish the best for your neighbor, regardless if it's your enemy or not. And everybody loves the people that have their same views. As Jesus said, the Gentiles love the Gentiles, but that is not the way we're supposed to be. We're supposed to have mercy and grace. I've been given tons of mercy and grace over time. I hope that we can do the same as a group, move past this, and move forward as a school district, because that's what we have a responsibility for. So that's all I have to say.
Roll call.
Mr. Krimenacher.
Yes.
He's saying yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Basil?
No.
Mr. Westrick?
Yes.
Ms. Zenshaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Dr. Crew?
Yes.
Mrs. Crew?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, be resolved, the Board of Education appoints Mr. Alan Johnson as the acting superintendent of schools pursuant to 224 PS Section 10-1079 at a per diem rate of $300 per day. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Mike Basil. Okay, any questions or comments?
When is this effective?
Starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
You have to.
I mean, we don't, you created this situation, but we will.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Mr. Westrick?
Yes.
Ms. Zenshaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
No.
Dr. Crew?
Yes.
Mrs. Crew?
Yes.
Mr. Krimenacher?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, be resolved, the committee of the whole meeting of the Northern Cambria School Board for February 4th, 2024, be adjourned at 8:17 p.m. I'll make the motion. Motion, Jared Krimenacher. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?